It is now my privilege to introduce today's Convocation speaker, Dr. Eugenia Duodu. Dr. Duodu is a scientist, a STEM advocate, and community builder. A double alumna of the University of Toronto, she holds a PhD in chemistry. Her dissertation research focused on the development of molecular detection tools for such diseases as cancer and Alzheimer. Dr. Duodu currently serves as the CEO of Visions of Science Network for Learning, a charitable organization that empowers youth from low-income communities through meaningful engagement in STEM. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Duodu to the podium.
Thank you. Principal Teddy, Dean Go, distinguished faculty and members of the Platform Party, family members, guests, and most importantly, the graduates, thank you so much for having me here today. As you heard, I was here less than 5 years ago, sitting in this very space right about around there, earning my doctoral degree. And about 4 years prior, I was again in this very space, earning my Bachelor of Science. So, as you can imagine, when I received the email request to come speak to you today, I was in complete shock and disbelief. I just graduated not too long ago. I was also in shock and disbelief because I had a bit of fear. And this fear was rooted in hearing about a media frenzy about another Convocation speaker from Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. This Convocation speaker made an announcement during his speech that he was going to pay off the student loans of every single one of the graduates. So I'm looking at this email in my inbox, and I'm also thinking about my checking account. And I'm thinking to myself, the bar is very high. So while I can't pay off your student loans, I regret to make that announcement today. What I do have, I will freely give to you. And my hope is that what I share with you today will inspire you beyond this moment and will make you feel as though I paid your student loans. My first convocation was not a good one for me. I had actually spent the entire morning crying. Although I was graduating, I did not feel accomplished. I didn't feel as though I knew the path for my future. And I was discouraged because I felt like everyone else knew what they were going to do. My nervousness and fear was rooted in the age-old question that I'm sure you've heard since you were a child. What do you want to be when you grow up? I never quite knew how to answer this question, even as a kid. Year after year, teachers would go around the classroom and ask us as students to present our entire futures to the class. As my classmates would rhyme off careers that I had no exposure to, the question would come to me and I would get this deep sinking feeling. I would remember the first time that I said, I don't know. I was met with disappointed stares. You're in grade 4, you should. But at the time, my greatest concerns were, what did my mother pack me for lunch, and when is recess? Fast forward to my graduation, and I was inundated with the same question, various remixes of it, some of which might sound familiar to you. The casual, so what's next for you? What can you do with that degree? What do you plan to do with your life? Some of you may confidently know the answers to those questions today, and I applaud you. Others of you, like I did, might not have a clue. Regardless of where you're at, as a true scientist, I challenge you with 4 questions. My first one is, who do you want to be? As you enter this next phase of your life, I can guarantee you that the only thing that you can be certain of is the type of person you are when you occupy a space. That was a question that few of my teachers had ever asked me growing up, but my mom asked me constantly. Whenever I would do something that demonstrated poor character or bad behavior, my mom would look at me, give me a bit of a side eye with her West African accent and say, "Who do you want to be?" This question would put my life on pause and force me to look at myself, look at my actions, think about what type of person I was in that moment, and compare that to who I really wanted to be. As you enter this next phase of life, I would encourage you to develop or maintain a certain level of introspection. You will enter new environments that may challenge you, frustrate you, annoy you, elevate you, and bring you joy. #Marie Kondo. In all of this, take stock of the person you are today and constantly ask yourself, who do I want to be? My second question for you is, what do you want to learn? I remember feeling this extreme sense of relief when I had finished that last exam of my undergraduate career. I'll tell you, I didn't even finish the last question. I was done. I ran out of that examination room, hands up, school's out forever, no one can talk to me anymore. I was so over school. And it's even more ridiculous to say because then I ended up doing more school with my PhD, but it's okay. As I entered new phases in my life, I realized that between my times in grad school and early on to my career, my learning was far from over. It was actually just beginning. Each new experience demanded a certain level of adaptation of the current skills that I had, and also development of new ones that I never had before. Rather than being frustrated or prideful, I decided to embrace my lifelong learning journey. After all, I was a U of T grad. I wasn't afraid of learning. So you as graduates of science, you are all knowledgeable and accomplished. You have made it this far. But I want to tell you that there is so much more to learn and so much more that you can know. So ask yourself, what do I want to learn? My third question is, how will you leverage this education? As you know, and as you heard from my bio, I took a road less traveled. And when I started to really understand what I was passionate about, I started to get scared. Because I really felt like my educational journey could only be validated if I fit myself into a neat box of what I perceived a scientist could be and what they could do. I remember running through the halls, running into one of my classmates that I hadn't seen since Frosh Week. And she asked me, we were catching up, and she asked me, "So, what are you planning to do with a degree in science? Why would you even get that degree?" And I had to run, so I was running away, and I said, "It's my best soapbox." It was such a strange statement, but I didn't realize the weight of it until many years later. I want you to know, as graduates, at your level of education and where you are at with your degree, your education is indeed your soapbox. It gives you a raised platform whereby you can advocate, research, solve issues and problems in your local and global communities. And so no matter what path you choose, do not let this degree restrict you. Do not sit in the box of what you think this could be, but reimagine what it could be by standing on top of it and leveraging it. My last question, and please don't be upset with me, is what will you do with your life? When I used to say this, I used to be really stressed about this question. And my mom would always say to me, I will never tell you what to do or who to be. That's not my role. My role is to encourage you to position yourself to make the greatest impact. Graduates, you have come a very long way, and I would say that you are very well positioned. We are in an interesting time where access to issues that occur globally and locally are just a few swipes away. And sometimes this level of access can be almost discouraging. But I'm encouraged by you. As I was in the Chancellor's office and watching you all walk through into Convocation Hall, you gave me new hope. Because I know that each graduating class brings forth new hope and future into the world. You graduates today are part of that. No matter what sector you enter into, space you occupy, know and understand that this world has never existed with you as graduates. You have the potential to change it for the better. In doing so, never be afraid to ask yourself, who do I want to be? What do I want to learn? How will I leverage this education? And what am I doing with this life? My only answer to you is echoing what my mom always told me. Position yourself to make the greatest impact. And I can tell you, you are off to a great start. Congratulations, class of 2019.